What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, y'all? Give it up, give it up, give it up one time, give it up one time. All right, I want to thank each and every one of y'all for coming out for this next conversation series, man. Where we got Leah James, we got Angie Rose, we also have Ajanee, and it's gonna be hosted by none other than Conquest and as well as Evelyce. You know, but I just want to let everybody understand and let everybody couple house rules. You know, don't break nothing. That's rule number one. That's important. Right? Part two, we have water in the back. And lastly, the real important thing, we have some sheets that are out there that are on that table right there. There's one with a list of names. Just sign your name on there. And if this is your very first time in this facility, right, I just need you to go ahead and fill out. We don't need your birth certificate and your social. And I know even though that there's a part on there that says for salary, you don't need to fill that out. All right, you definitely don't need to fill out. Just to give y'all some background information. Just sign your name on that sheet. All right, so sign your name on that sheet, everybody. And if this is your first time, you can just fill out the actual long sheet with your name, address, and anything like that. Nobody is going to call you. Nobody is going to mail you anything. All right, just to give you some background, this is a brand new facility that's actually only a year old. Wow. All right, and this is a facility that I own and I actually manage. You know, I'm an assistant director here at Home Children's Zone. You know what I'm saying? So this is a facility that's out here that's open to the community. All right, so it's also important that you guys, if you guys are looking to do any, let's say, mixers, little listening parties, or I know Conquest has used this plenty of times for the Renaissance series. This space, this venue is available to each and every one of you guys. You know, just let me know. I know we have Poetic Genius about to do his album release May 6th. May 5th. May 5th. So by all means, I'm just saying, this space is definitely here for y'all, and it's also here for the community. People in the community has been hitting me up and all stuff. Yo, what y'all got going on over there? Y'all got food? Y'all got music? You know what I'm saying? But it's important that we have these facilities open so that we can actually share our light, man. So that's the main importance of what we're trying to do here, man. And also we got a studio here if anybody's trying to holler at me. You know what I'm saying? What's up, man? You know what I mean? Anyway, but I want, without any further ado, you know what we came here to do. We got some phenomenal women here that are here that we about to get into their business real quick, get into their grits. I got my questions, all right? So, all right, without any further ado, introducing the host. Give it up one time for Conquest.
How y'all doing?
Good.
I'll come back.
Let me sit down. Don't worry, I'm coming.
How y'all doing? Okay. I know it's not a whole gang of people in here, but I just heard like maybe you. Did you say anything? Nah, I'll take this as a no. Got you. First and foremost, on a rainy Saturday, thank you guys for coming out. This is the third edition of this thing I call the Next Conversation series. To give you a little backstory on that, for those who know me, people know me as a hip-hop artist, songwriter, etc., etc., etc. Everybody knows me in the artistic genre of things that I do. But I'm also a writer. I've been a writer ever since I've known myself. My mom taught me how to write my first essay, in the sense of like, you know, I wrote my first essay and my mom back in Trinidad was just like, no, that's not how you write an essay. Be descriptive. You paint a picture. You know, just build it. And that was when I was like 5 years old. And from that point on, it was just off to the races. But it's just turned into bigger and better things. So I started this thing called the I'm on that next.tumblr.com. So me being an artist, I'm also a fan of music. I don't know how many artists are in the room here who feel this way, but I think sometimes being an artist makes you less of a fan. Sometimes you listen to other people's music and then you start critiquing in your head, well, if I was rapping, I would have done it this way. If I was producing, I would have done it this way. Instead of just really enjoying the music. And that's something I prayed that I would never lose. I mean, we all have our critiques. All of us have like opinions, but I can still enjoy another person's work. So my philosophy was, if I was going to start this blog, I would showcase all the other people who I thought were up next, people who I really believed in, people who I felt God was using, and it's been in effect since, I would say 2 years now. So this is an extension of that. Like, I'm the type of guy who always likes inside the actor's studio, behind the music, just getting the story behind the artist. So I figured God was just speaking to me in a way so that this could happen. So I'm an artist, right? I'm an artist interviewing other artists, other creatives, because the worst thing for an artist is to go into an interview and it's like, you didn't listen to the music that you're interviewing me about. You don't really know anything about me. Why am I here? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really make sense. So my prayer and my focus and my purpose today is just to make sure that everybody who's in this room, even if you're not being interviewed, you gain something not only from these ladies' stories, but it's a dialogue, it's an exchange. So I'm going to be interviewing with them. Also got a special guest with me who's going to be interviewing these ladies as well. And then at some point, you guys get a chance to ask the questions that you might be curious about, based on past experiences, based on following these artists, or even something that you heard today. So, is everybody clear? Does everybody get a nice synopsis of what we're doing here today? Does that make sense? Yes. Is that good? Yes. All right, cool. So, before we jump into that, like I said, I'm part of an artistic community, and the group that I want to bring up, they're all solo artists in their own right. One's an accomplished pianist, session worker, just somebody who you see at most events, and he's behind the keys, giving people crazy looks if things sound crazy. You might know him. Another guy is a poet, MC, like one of my favorite live performers, great songwriter, just a great person. And another guy, or another lady actually, she's coming up and she's a songwriter at the highest level. And they decided to just, form a little crew together, which I totally championed, and they came up with a really cool name, because I feel like they all bring soul food together every time they perform separately, so now together they're known as The Feast. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please make some noise and welcome architect James Calvin on keys, and I am Chelsea, ladies and gentlemen, The Feast.
Test. What up, y'all?
What up?
He was like the only one out of 10. I'm gonna need everybody to match his energy, alright? What up, y'all?
What up?
That's what's up. She can't close. I felt that. She yelled at me for a second. What up? We are a collective. We go by the name of The Feast. I go by RQ Tech.
I am Chelsea,
And that's James Calvin on keys, setting up and whatnot. Yeah, we just want to feed people good lyricism, hope, knowledge, all that good stuff. So we got 2 songs for y'all. Hope you guys enjoy it. What's the first one you got, Chelsea?
Giving Up. So, Giving Up, I'm just going to do it like acoustic. So, Giving Up is a song I'm working on, a new EP called A Beautiful Mess. And we're just going to do it acoustic style, partially, make it shake. So, this is Giving Up. Doing the right thing.
we acted blind. Had God when we let go with the vine. When we go back, only in God's time. I hope he do it like we do it for the vine. Looking at God, he showed our flaws. While we apart, it's to hear my call. Feel like my back's against the wall. I really never meant to make you call. And when I say cry, I just meant tears. Try hard to not confirm your fears. God is the king, you're the princess. That's why he named you, boy, your man saying
I'm giving up this time. Can't waste my time. Oh, I'm living my life without you. Living my life without you. Living my life without you. I'm living my life without you. Living my life without you. Living my life without. That was giving up.
Test. So as you can see, we some heartbroken artists. This next song is actually more about heartbreak. Anybody ever been in a relationship where you feel like God is telling you, yo, you're wasting your time, it's not the one, kill it, leave it alone. It be like that, right? But sometimes you just like, I don't know, man, she bad. Like, yo, God, you sure, man? Like, where am I find that again, Lord? Come on now. Sometimes that's how we feel, right? But God is still saying like, yo, I'm telling you, I got something better. But we just like, I don't know, man. It looks pretty dope right here.
God, like that ain't it.
Yeah, man. So I'm gonna need y'all help, right? I've been in a situation like that, and like sometimes when you get sad and heartbroken, sometimes when you're sad, you go in the shower, you try to sing some R&B songs like Neo So Sick and whatnot, right? And so like, I'm not a singer, she the singer of the group, right? So y'all don't hear my struggle tonight, even though today, even though she gonna be doing background, right? I'm gonna need y'all help, right? All y'all gotta do is say, girl, I know that you were not the one for me. That's it. Cool? Cool?
Yeah.
Cool? Cool?
Cool.
That's what's up, that's what's up. This one's called Cold as Fall. James Calvin, you can hit it, bro.
Rock that, bro.
If y'all want to stand up and vibe out too, y'all can, man. Just saying. I got that hip hop feel. Yeah. Yeah. Or if you can't two-step, one step twice, same thing. Yo. As I entered the doors and walked up in the spot, I saw this fine girl, I can't lie, she was hot. She the kind of girl who would hang up on the block now. She the kind of girl you would call top notch. So when I walked over, I said, hey, how you doing? My mind just froze, the control started cruising. Flashed the pearly white, I said, I am doing fine. She said, oh, you were before, I didn't see you on the line. I told her I'm an MC, I do this fucking word. Her eyes got bigger, and then she said, word. From there we kept talking, we got to know each other. Both at free time, it was the middle of the summer. It started getting late, so I asked for her number. The right time to call you, I couldn't help but wonder. I started reading her word, but then I was reading my word. And I was slowly pushing God, cause now you're gone. Got me going crazy, baby. In my mind, can't stop thinking about. It's my favorite part right here, y'all ready? I was like, girl, I know that you were not the one for me, but I loved you and you loved me too. Hey, yo. Time passed, we started kicking it, but things got different. It wasn't like it was in the very beginning. No communication, we both didn't listen. Love God and each other, but something was still missing. See, I'm a musician, her she was a model. God gave us the passion, so we going full throttle. Barely saw each other, no time was being spent. We on a straight path, somehow we got bent. I wanna be together, but we on a different path. It's like the same equation, use a different math. I really hate to do this, I hate to feel sad, but when we always talk, one of us is always mad. Remember when I bowed, take it to the mall. God, we were cold, and love we were full. I hate this decision, but we can't stall. It's like the hottest summer always got. Now you're gone. Now we going crazy, baby. In my mind, can't stop thinking about it. It's my favorite part, y'all. Cause I was like, girl, I know that you are not the one for me, but I loved you and you loved me too. Hey.
world's a part of me. But now she done left, understand she the part of me, yo. Life stinks, so I wonder who's smarting. God told me that she ain't the one, I still miss her. Childhood to make it work, you can see the blisters. Relationship with God, yo, was something I could fix up. Doing a good job, yo, I'm looking for a tip cup. People run my faith, I'm stronger in my word. And I will understand why God made me swerve. I put the focus on her instead of on him. I try to be a foundation on the ground of sin. Realize I never loved her, man, I lust her. That's a dangerous mix like white shirts to mustard. God had to calm me down, took a sip of water. I gotta keep God first, cause now you're gone. Got me going crazy, baby. In my mind, I can't stop it. It's my favorite part right here, y'all. Cause I was like, girl, I know that you are not the one for me, but I loved you and you love me too. Hey, one more time. Now you're gone, got me going crazy. You have me going crazy, yo. In my mind, I can't stop. I was going mad, yo. I was like, girl, I know that you are not the one for me, but I loved you and you love me too. Hey, we had the coldest fall.
Said we had the coldest fall.
I said we had the coldest. Sometimes you just gotta wave. Hit it with that presidential joint. We had the coldest fall. Ta-ta. I said we had the coldest fall. We had the coldest fall.
We got the coldest fall.
Once again, we go by the name of The Feast. Please add us on Instagram, The Feast NYC on Instagram. Individually, you can add me at RQTEK, at IamSociIam, and at James Calvin on keys. Hit us up. We got merch, we got shows and stuff. Thank y'all for having us. Shout out to Conquest and all this, man. Appreciate y'all.
Give it up for The Feast.
Okay, so before you guys clear out, this is my favorite part of the show, interview you guys. So I love Coldest Fall, you know this, right? But I don't even ever really ask you this in this perspective. Like, that song obviously came from a place. But knowing that you're in a relationship now with a young lady that I think is really great for you, I love the vibe that you guys have. What would you say is the difference between then, making you write that song, to where you are now?
Alright, let me try to condense this.
Okay.
Mindset, purpose, and God. That's it.
That's it.
Just condensing those two.
Nice.
Mindset, purpose, and God.
Yeah, because I think for artists all the time, like, just having that right partner, that relationship, that right situation is like either a hindrance or a help.
Yeah.
So I think if you got those three things, then it works out. Yeah. So, Chelsea, my final question for you. Happy birthday, by the way. She just celebrated her birthday. Give it up for her.
Happy birthday. Thank you.
What is it like? You're a strong individual in your own right. What is it like working with these two guys?
Where to begin? It's a matter of like balancing personalities, strengths and weaknesses on an artistic level as well as like a business side, because you know as independent artists we're doing everything.
Yeah.
So I enjoy it. I enjoy it. You know.
Did you ever envision that this would happen? I mean, we hang all the time, but did you think that this trio?
Not in this way, and it just sort of fell together because like we always come out to support each other anyway. So like if I'm performing on stage and we usually be Tech, come up, do a freestyle, whatever, right? Or if I'm performing at James, they're like, just come up and play, you already here. So it just came to be in that way. So
Gotcha.
it was good.
All right, I got one question for James. James, why are you always the first person here out of the group? Like, how come you're the only person that's here on time? Or is that a myth? Is that a myth? Okay, here's the question. James, I want you to answer truthfully. Who is the most efficient as far as coming on time, and who's the most tardy?
Efficient coming on time is probably me.
Okay.
It's definitely me. Latest is probably architect.
Thank you. Right in the middle.
Y'all can work that
Hey, you
out
look
after the
mad,
failures.
it's like
I mean, is that true? Are you like the late one?
No, it's sometimes. It's not all the time.
80% of the time.
It's like 72.
Nah, that's
That's what 80. like.
You giving me extra 8%, I don't want you.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the feast. Thank you guys. Hope you have a seat. Okay, are y'all ready for the phenomenal women?
Yeah. Yeah.
Y'all don't sound too convinced, man. Y'all ready for the phenomenal women to step on the stage? That's more like it. All right. So I'm going to say it in order of how I guess I had it on the flyer. First and foremost, I want to welcome to the stage. She's a Stella-nominated artist. She's a singer-songwriter. She's amazing on stage. I'm looking forward to having this conversation with her. Please give it up for Ajanee Hambrick. I need sparkling water out her way. Yeah, that's the one.
That's so tiny.
Oh man, see? Up next. Ah man, what can I say about the sister? She's a poet, she's an activist, she is quite outspoken, love her to death, man. And she's just an amazing person. Give it up for Leah James, ladies and gentlemen. Like, as I'm seeing them come on stage, it's just like, yo, I'm actually creating that sound. This is amazing. All right, and last but not least, we got an MC, vocalist. I would easily say like a proficient freestyler. I've seen her on stage, and she handles that very well. And she has new music on the way. Done a couple of things. A Rapzilla freshman. Give it up for Angie Rose, ladies and gentlemen. Yo, and these are your water. Yeah, fancy out here. Oh, that's true. You want my sparkling water? Nah, it's only right. It's only right. Oh, man. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the phenomenal women. Okay, so I think I may have been able to brief maybe one of you about this, but the way this goes is that we talk for a bit, and then people here, based on our conversation, based on what they know of you, they get to ask you questions and dig a little deeper into you guys. So Angie, I'm gonna start with you. Okay, Angie Rose. I want to say that I've known you or known about you, I would say maybe 3 years now, for about. I think my first real encounter with you was at Rap Fest in the Bronx, maybe a couple of years back, flipped it up, that type of thing. And I've seen you in a bunch of places, and you've been known to like drop songs here, videos here, appear on collaborations here, kind of like dip and dab. But on the 28th of this month, we're gonna have, would it be fair to say like your first, not say album, but your first project, your first body collection of music called Sipping Coffee in the Bakery. I wanna know, yeah, it's nice, right? Sipping coffee in the bakery, because there's so much to that title, because you know there's a lot of things that you're associated with. You're associated with being unstoppable. You obviously love your coffee. Like I actually was thinking about maybe I should show you some coffee. I don't know what type of coffee you have, and coffee is a very meticulous thing. I don't want to get the coffee wrong, that kind of thing, right? So let's talk about Sipping Coffee in the Bakery.
Yeah.
Like what's that?
So yeah, it's gonna be the first, I think.
Can everybody hear her?
I can hear.
Yeah, it's better.
There you go.
I got it.
Okay.
It's gonna be the first, I guess, body of work or compilation of music. But it's a mixtape, so it's to be quite honest, like a part of the promo behind it is like I wrote it in 5 days. I just got super frustrated. Like I went through a lot of like contractual stuff and a lot of delays, and like I lost a ton of music.
Really?
Yeah, and I just was. I got hit up by a friend whose younger brother was like getting into production.
Okay.
And so they sent me the beat, and I was like, yo, this is dope. And then they kept sending me stuff, and I was like, bruh, we should just do something. And they were like, word. So they sent me all these beats, and then I just started writing. And then we ended up knocking out like five tracks, and I was like, yo, let's just do it. And so it was a random, like, all right, let's just make something happen type of project, which is why I'm very like, it's a mixtape,
right?
Because it's not the meticulous type of what I have in mind for the EP. It's very, very hip hop. Like the first track on there has no structure. I just rapped on it, and then like the last 4 bars I started singing a little bit. Like I was just chilling.
Right.
So I'm excited. I'm nervous, but I'm more excited.
And the people that send music to you, the people that send music to you, they're known as the bakery.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
It's funny because I did the research and I was just like, how ironic that coming together.
Yeah.
Just one of those God moments of
Definitely.
like coffee, bakery, practice.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Was that another thing that you caught on to like almost immediately?
No, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. It's funny. That's crazy. Yeah, no, we didn't even notice. We had the music done and then we made the title. We were like, yo, since it's a collab, why don't we just merge brands?
Nice. Okay. Speaking of merging brands, right? And I'm not sure if you see, I know I saw him earlier. I know the saga is somewhere around here recording. You did a song with him, about, would you say it's a year, maybe 2 years back, called Bright Lights?
Yeah.
And then you out of nowhere, you know, because, you know, Angie just pops up on your timeline if you, like, follow her, just stuff, like, okay. And you had this thing called Bright Lights Acoustic.
Yeah.
Now, two things really intrigued me about this. Me being an avid music head myself, like, one thing I love, and I don't know if anybody here is a fan of it, I'm a big fan of the Unplugged series. So Unplugged series, I've seen Tori Amos Unplugged, I've seen Cranberries Unplugged, I've seen a gang of grunge groups like Pearl Jam and Nirvana and all these people doing classic Unplugged, right? But not too many hip hop until Jay-Z did it with The Roots. So anytime I hear hip hop broken down in its like most raw form, I'm always excited. And then what got me really excited is that the fact that O'Dane got involved in it. I was like, I like how you kind of like rolled out the credits. It's like, okay, this guy did graphics. O'Dane, oh snap! Like I'm in, you know. So how did you and O'Dane come together as far as like doing that particular version of that song?
Well, O'Dane has his scene called Theology, and so I think I got booked for it early on, and then we just like kept meeting around. Like he's from the Bronx, different people knew him, and so we became friends. Like just like actual conversations, sitting down. Like I had a meal with him in his house, and just vibing. And then we were like,
you know it's real when you sit down at somebody's house.
You know what I'm saying?
Have a meal, like we eating together.
So we just kind of vibed, and then we were like, yo, we should try this. Like I had it in mind for a while, but I was super nervous. I'm very like insecure about the singing things. I was like, oh, I don't know. Like everybody knows me as like a rapper, like.
Right.
But I was just again a result of like, I just want to do it. Like I don't care no more. Like after everything you go through enough stuff, you start to like, man, listen, I'm gonna just do what I feel like doing. And so we did that. Like that take actually, we had walked into the studio and they were trying to figure out how to plug him in, and I was just testing the mic. I didn't even know they were recording. Right. Which is why at the end I'm like, tell me somebody caught it.
Yes, I heard that.
We walked in and just started singing, and he started playing, and my engineer was like, oh my god, and he plugged everything up and he got everything in time, and so we just kept the organic moment.
That's dope.
It was fun.
I heard saying something like that, and Ajanee, I don't know if you can relate to this too. I heard, this is a myth, I don't know if this is a true story, but I heard that Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You, that rendition was the first take.
Wow.
The one that we hear, that was the first take. Like somebody, she said, I'm just gonna test it out. And I guess somebody was like, no, we're gonna record this. And that was like the first take. So it's kind of like, when I thought that once you said that. I feel like in a way though, so it's interesting that you say that you were insecure about your singing and insecure about the other aspects of your art, because I feel like you've been kind of walking people through. Like I've seen you on the keys, I've seen you sing, you know, so I'm not foreign to it, and I think anybody who's following you really closely is not foreign to it, but what is it that makes you not so sure, but at some point you was just like, bump it, I'm just go for it?
Well, I grew up in church, so that side of me was very like real. Like I learned to play the keys because they didn't have anybody to play the keys. I started singing because they didn't, you know, they didn't really have. We had like the old Spanish lady like, hey, fuck, and I was like, we gotta fix this. So I started trying to figure it out. But like all my sisters sing, and like my best friend was like low-key, I hated her when we were younger, and so like they had a lot of opinions that just, my bad, I love you, not like she not watching. I don't know why I looked at the camera like, yo, just in case you see that. It's all good. But yeah, so I just was always like, it made me shy away from it, and I think that was because everybody sang, so everybody had an opinion. But when it came to rapping, like there was no, like most of my life, there was no girl rappers. So like whenever I did something, like people's reaction was like, oh! So I just immediately like, oh, this is my thing. And so I threw away singing thinking that meant singing wasn't my thing. And as I'm just maturing and like coming into my own, I'm just like, yo, I just love music, like as a whole. So like, let me just do music, like, and so that's where I'm at. Like now I tend to sing on like almost all the hooks on my records, or I'm just trying to get more confident. And like now my goal is to mold that side of me the same way I've done with the rap.
Okay.
So like I'm getting involved in my worship team in my church again, which was a whole crazy thing. Vocal lessons, like I want to become I want to be versatile, but do everything well, not just be like, oh, she does everything. Like more like, nah, she does
everything,
but it sounds good.
Right.
And so
on some Lauryn Hill stuff. That's the thing I loved about Lauryn, like proficient vocalist, proficient lyricist, like just all around. You know, you mentioned contractual issues before. Without delving too deep into that, because I'm sure there's probably parts of that you do or don't want to share, however you feel comfortable saying it, but how frustrating, especially as an independent artist, how frustrating is that to be in the midst of those things that really don't have anything to do with the music? You're just like, I just want to get to the music. Why do I have to like, what's this?
Well, so obviously super frustrating, but skipping past all the nonsense and like, I think now what it's done for me is created like character. I'm more confident when I walk into a meeting now. I'm more confident about what I want and what I don't want. So I've grown in discernment. I've had some really great opportunities, like people that have been like in these like labels or like working with like, you know, these organizations that everybody wants to work with, and I fight it honestly, but God has been like, yo, that's not like pass, and I have to listen because of the one time that I didn't, when I saw an opportunity and felt that like, don't do that, and I still was like, nah, it's like, God, if I pray a lot, maybe, like, you know, if I like, you know, stay real close to you, then maybe, and seeing that like the best opportunity without God is still the worst one.
Can you say that again? That's so profound. Like,
sip coffee. The best opportunity without God is still the worst one. But again, like always looking past the nonsense. Like, so looking back now, I can see what God did even do that, and that's why I fully believe in like His sovereignty. So like, I made the wrong decision, but He used that wrong decision to create character, which was necessary anyway. Somebody asked me the other day about like delays and things like that, and I was speaking about like the speed bumps that ended up creating like the perfect timing. Because a lot of times our talent will take us somewhere that our character can't keep us. Amen. And so I think that the journey, oftentimes what God is developing in you is the character and the foundation to carry the weight of the blessing. And so I'm praying that that's where I'm at now.
Gotcha. That's cool. I got one more question for you before I move on to your ladies. And even in those situations, how did it feel when, whether it's a business dealing or an artistic situation, were there ever situations where you felt underestimated just off the sake of you being a woman?
Oh yeah, that comes with the territory. I like it though. I always tell people I look at it like a slingshot, because they pull you back so far that you can be mediocre and still go far.
And you find that even in Christian circles?
Yeah. Almost more.
Why more, you think?
I think it's just, we're just used to men leading in church. And I think a lot of people don't know how to deal with a woman that can be respectful but still know what she's talking about.
Gotcha. Okay. Speaking of people who knows what they're talking about, Miss Hambrick, let's talk to you. Now, I don't even know exactly how to start. I think I just want to go back to a conversation I actually had with Isaiah. You know Isaiah Graves? Yeah. Me and Isaiah actually was coming from, I think we were actually in this area. We were walking past the Dunkin' Donuts and we were talking about you. And we were talking about your project. And, you know, we was talking about the fact that, and I remember telling him about my excitement about your project with the group, with Ray, and what was happening there. And I think the album had just debuted at #1 on gospel charts, all that. We were just in the midst of conversation, and then Isaiah said, "Bro, you have no idea how long and how much it took for that project to even come into fruition." I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah. I mean, without, you know," and he just kind of like, this was a process. You know, he didn't get into specifics, but he just assured me that it was a process. So before I even talk about the songs, and what's the difference between then and now, like, tell me about that process. What is it like? Because I realized also, and I'm up on the very late, there was 6 of you at some point, right?
At one point it was about 12, to be honest, because the band was a part of the group. We didn't separate the band from the group, so at one point it was a whole lot of us.
Okay.
And then the band, as we started growing apart, as people do, the band decided they wanted to go on tour with some other artists, and they were R&B artists and hip-hop artists like 50 Cent and all type of people, and we were very proud of them. Initially it hurt to have to let them go, but it took them very far as a band, and their name is Electric Mayhem. I did a song with them.
Okay.
I love how things go full circle, but the connection was never lost. So yeah, we broke up with them, and then it was just, I want to say 6, like you said, 2 in each section, and then some could not take the pressure of what it takes to be an artist. It's much different from just singing in a church. When you take it to the world, it's completely different, and the gospel industry is very right. So, and one thing I love about Livray, we're not afraid to talk about what it's really like in that industry. It's terrible, just to be honest. It's shiesty, yes. And nobody's really looking out for each other. Everybody just wants to stay on top, which is cool. But after losing some people because they couldn't take the pressure that it took, some went solo, some got other opportunities from other gospel artists like James Fortune and things like that. So the group just started really falling apart, and that was in like 2013.
Okay.
Yeah, 2013. But we decided to stay together anyway. The group went down to 2 people. Nobody else knows that but us. We were creating an album for at least 7 years, and sometimes it was...
Sorry, I hate to stop you. So
yeah.
There was just 2 of you creating that project?
It was just 2 of us at one point. Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, continue. All right. I just had to stop for a second.
Yeah, it was just myself, and if anybody knows Malik Spence.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was helping me, I was helping him create this whole album that sounds like 6 people when it's really 2.
Wait, my mind is so blown right now. So, you're telling me that all the voices on that album that I got listened to, whatever, it's just 2 people?
Most of it. What I decided to do as a vocal producer of the album, and one of the producers, I decided to really try my best to get them to sing leads while we did all the backgrounds. So Ariel was in college. Richard Talbert, he had a niece who, you know, their mother could not take care of them, so he ended up being like a father. So he couldn't be there as much.
Right.
And Kenny, yeah, to everybody. And me and Malik were just super dedicated, and we wanted to just bring it home for everybody. So we ended up doing a lot of things, just us 2. That's why it took so long, you know, for it to come out, along with other, you know, things that were going on.
So that, with you saying that, that's going to segue really great to my question, because there's certain songs, just from a vocal aesthetic, like I think about JESUS. And I think about Jericho, and I love Jericho. But the thing I really love about that song is just, outside of the message and outside of just how you interpreted the walls of Jericho coming down, is also just the harmonies at the end. Like with Jericho, it's a very subtle, but it moves you. It's goosebump-ish. And then with JESUS, it starts off like, you know, type of urban gospel that you would listen to, but then it just rises. Like, where did that come from? Like,
well, JESUS was written when I was about 17. Me and Rich wrote it together back then. I don't know how it lasted till the album, but it started off with Rich right in the beginning, and everybody was laughing at him because they hated it. So me, I saw some potential in it, so I took it home and I started writing to it. And I called Rich like, I got another part, and it ended up coming out to be really, really great. So that's how that song, yeah. And everywhere we went, like that was the song everybody wanted to hear. So JESUS, that's that. With Jericho, that was really weird because it was supposed to be a pop record. I was supposed to lead it. And then it just started going left. Like the producer played Mahalia Jackson, and it just literally started getting darker. Like the sound, you know, pop is really bright at times, but it just started getting darker and darker. And we were like, oh my God, this is cool. Like it sounds like warfare music, gospel music.
It really does, yeah.
And I called Rich because he wasn't at the studio. Again, it was just me and Malik creating the record. I called him, I said, I really need you for this one. I need you to come. He was like, you know what? God gave me some words the other day, so I'm going to come with those words. I don't have a melody. We were like, cool, let's see if it matches.
Right.
He gets there, that's all praise and glory be to El Shaddai. These are the words that God gave him, and he threw it on the song, and it was just like, it's crazy that you were in sync with us even though you weren't here as we were creating the album. So, after that, Malik came up with the verses, and then I came up with the chorus, and it just...
Crazy.
Yeah. And with the harmony thing with Livray, you have to imagine there's 5 people who all hear harmony. I lay down one thing, somebody else is going to lay down something else crazy, and it just kind of grows from there.
Yeah. Gotcha. One more song I want to talk about off the album before I get into like the solo stuff that you've done. There's a song you have, Watch Me Rise, and Watch Me Rise from the Ashes. What would you say are the ashes for you guys that you guys rose from?
So many. I would have to say people didn't expect us to go as far as we did, and that's what the song was really talking about. It was like, just watch me. Like, y'all talking now, but just watch us. We're going to get to a certain place. I have to say the gospel industry was not very welcoming to Livray. Could be because we were really different. Could be because we were from New York. There's not a lot of New York artists in the gospel industry that's like killing it. It's Hezekiah Walker and that's it, you know? So that's what the song was about, and that's the ashes that we were trying to rise from. Everybody's opinion. People were copying our flyers, how we dressed, and they were getting more, you know, attention. Yeah. And they would never give love to us, and we just wanted to put that out there, that we're gonna rise from all of this mess. So I think we did.
I think so too. Well, as we're on the gospel industry, so here's the juxtaposition that I found with you saying that, and also something that you said before. Like I don't know if you even remember me commenting on this, but like maybe a year ago, maybe around the time your album came out, you were pretty much speaking and talking in defense of gospel music being supported, people buying gospel music, you know what I'm saying? Like making that industry flourish. It's like, hey, if you want to see it thrive, you gotta go to iTunes, do whatever you gotta do. And I think you had like maybe 100+ comments talking about like, yo, you had a nice little dialogue about it. And then you got that feeling, but then you go into the actual industry, and for lack of a better term, it's shiesty. It's like I'm trying to defend y'all, but I don't even feel welcomed here. Like, and I mean, there's so many questions I can pick out of that, but I think the most direct thing is like, did it hurt you? Like, what's your feeling about it? Like, do you feel like you belong?
Oh, absolutely not. I don't feel like, me personally, I belong in that industry. Just because of the call that God has on my life and the assignment. But as far as Livray, I thought we were a pretty good fit of, you know, changing what gospel was. Every now and then you have an artist that changes the whole, you know, feel of what that genre is and takes it to the next level. We just weren't accepted.
What is gospel? Well, from your perception, what does that scene look like? What is that gospel? Right? What is that?
You're talking about that industry. What does that look like? Everybody is focused on having a polished like outside or finished, but they're not actually that person inside. Meeting them face to face, they wouldn't really speak. I sat right across from, and I'm not afraid to say, Tasha Cobbs. Sat right across from her. I've seen her several times. She would not speak. She knows who I am. She knows who Laverne is. Would like refuse to speak to us, and that is hurtful. I listen to your music. There have been plenty of times where chains have broken off of me listening to your voice and your anointing, and to think that you don't even have the love that Christ really says that we should have. You know what I mean? He says that our love will draw people to him, and we don't even have that part. But we have the voice and we have the polished finish, and it's a deception. And really having to accept that these artists are not the people that they look like they are, that was hard for us. Even at Stellar's, it was heartbreaking.
Yeah, I was about to ask you about your Stellar's experience. You all look great on the carpet.
Thank you.
Kill that. Great dress. I see
Thank you.
Nah, but yeah, I mean, that has to be like very bittersweet. It's like you're nominated for a Stellar Award. I'm sure pretty much we saw Bizzle and The Truth and a couple of guys representing Christian hip hop at the Stellar Awards. Anybody didn't want to be at the Stellar Awards, but that was a bittersweet moment.
Absolutely. When they said the different people who were
categories,
people started shouting our name, and for a moment we all were like, wait, we might win this. Like, oh my God, because all of the artists that do love us were screaming our names, and also the fans. And when they called out the person who did win, no shade on her because she's amazing, when they did call her, everybody was a little confused because she's a lot newer than we are, and we're still new artists. People had an argument about that too, because it's like, y'all been around for 10 years, how can y'all be in the new artist category? But it's all about your first album, and we put it
breakthrough project.
Yeah, it was our first album, and we kind of a little bit expected to grab that one. And Bobby Jones actually turned around to us and said, you know what, guys, like, don't worry about that loss, because it wasn't a loss. It's really how the gospel industry is. You guys would have never won that, even if you were better, or you know what I mean? And I was just looking like, what? Like, I mean,
you would have never won it.
No, he was saying because of how the industry is. He said, don't even worry about that loss, because you really did win. If that makes sense. He was just saying the industry has their way of not giving people, what they're due.
Yeah, I know I've had many a conversation with myself and other people who are like, now, like I really try to encourage people not to make what you do as an artist about winning an award.
Absolutely.
Like, really. Like, I mean, I'm not saying if you're nominated and you win, don't be happy as, hey, and change your bio like Grammy nominated or Grammy award. Please do, but don't make it the be all and end all, because it could be, you could be crushed, and you can be crushed for all the wrong reasons.
Right.
It's crazy.
I was just saying to somebody recently, because they were like, don't worry about the awards, and these are for other artists. I was saying, if I go to high school and I walk across that podium and they don't give me my,
diploma?
Yeah, I'm gonna be like, I did all of that, and you couldn't at least acknowledge the fact that I worked hard enough to, receive that. So I do understand the people who want to receive the award. You work hard for it, and just because it's gospel doesn't mean we shouldn't want to deserve,
accolades. Yeah.
And I have that argument often on Facebook, but I think gospel artists deserve it as well. Yes, it's about God, but there's some work that's put into that, and you should be awarded for it.
Right.
Give honor where honor is due.
Yeah. Absolutely. So you talked about being on a different assignment. This is my last two questions for you before I get into a bunch of group questions. Your solo work, Children of Love, Titanium, Ready Aim. Now I love Titanium, the original. That's like one of my favorite pop songs. I like a lot of pop music, just for the record, I love it. I I realized that about myself. You know how, like, you know, as rappers or people that's doing alternative types of music, it's like, you ain't trying to listen to no Selena Gomez. What are you talking about? No, that's actually well-written pop song. That's good. I sing it all the time. You know what I'm saying? But I love Titanium, but what you did with it, and then you flipped into this other thing. I forget who does it originally. Like, I truly do. And I feel like it really is a great showcase of your voice. Like, your voice has this very piercing quality. Like, not piercing in a bit, like, ooh, like, you know, like nails in the chalkboard? Not that. I'm talking about, like, just, it cuts through in a very visceral, attentive, but pleasing way. Like, that's why when I was, you know, me and Evie was listening to the music, and he was like, yo, I can't even tell who she is. It's like, no, I can totally tell who she is because I know the voice. And it's like, yeah, you just have this thing. So tell me about those songs and how do they fit into the assignment you feel God's placed on your life to change music?
Well, with Children of the Love, it was a testimony, to be honest, of the battle of love and lust. Sometimes, as young people, we can't even figure out which is which. Like, we're really confused on whether it's just lust or whether it's love. And I was in a situation where I was willing to give up everything just to be in this relationship with this person that I really feel like now is just a lust thing. And if you look up lust and the spiritual side, like the spirit of lust, you're willing to do a lot of things that you would never, ever do. And I started noticing that's what that relationship was. And I wanted to write a song about it. In gospel, you're not going to hear a song about love and lust, something that real. You know what I'm saying? Everything is just perfect. You know what I mean? So I really want to be that artist, and I believe that God has placed on my heart to be the artist, to bring the truth about certain dark situations that we face behind worship and behind leaving the church with a smile on your face. Like, what are you really facing? Yeah. And I think people are really going to get delivered from hearing the truth about, you know, life.
Gotcha. So you're trying to like, do you want to be labeled? Like, do you want to be, hey, you're a gospel artist, or do you want to make music and just have people kind of just figure it out?
It's sad that when you hear gospel, you hear, like, you see a box. Well, that's what I see. It's like, that's as far as you can go if you have the gospel label on you. And I think the message is way bigger than what, you know what I mean, than what it appears to be. So I don't want to be labeled as a gospel artist. R&B either, to be honest.
Yeah, because I can see you doing rock. I can see you doing rock.
Ooh, that would be dope. Yeah.
There's little elements I hear in your music that I just feel like, yeah, it could go, even on the record, like there's certain songs, like I think it's a song called Conception, that has a feel to it that doesn't necessarily bend totally to gospel,
right,
totally whatever. And I like the fact that Jericho went dark, you know what I'm saying? So.
But honestly, like, what is gospel? I really want to ask somebody, just answer that question real quick before we. Does anybody know what gospel is? What the message is?
Bringing the good news.
Bringing the good news. Have you ever read the Bible? There are so many different books in that Bible, and we stick to one little part. We write songs about one small part. You know what I mean? And we don't get deep. There's songs of Solomon. There's so many beautiful books. My favorite book, I can't even think of it off the top of my head, sorry. But there are so many books about wisdom and love, and we don't write songs about that, and we think that gospel is just the two books in the back. You know what I mean? So I think we need to really broaden, you know, what we're talking about, and really read the Bible and really bring that to life through our music. So, yeah.
Got you. Well, again, I love how the segues flow, because speaking of people not limiting your choices of subject matter to just two books in the Bible. Hi, Leah.
Hey, everyone.
Hey. Hello. All right, so Leah, again, if you guys are familiar with my Tumblr, I have a whole article that I did with Leah about last year, like a full article, questions, answers, whole thing. But I want to do a little something different with you. How many people follow Leah James on Facebook? Pretty much everybody. All right. So you know Leah is very outspoken.
Yes.
And I love it. It's like a level of transparency I've barely seen. And I'm just going to ask you questions based on your statuses.
Oh God.
Got it.
I knew this moment was gonna come in my life. I didn't know. No one record this, all right?
No. I got, if you look at my phone, I have dates, I have I totally do. I've got 20 of them, but I'm not gonna ask all 20. 15. So good. Okay. So on April 19th, I got dates. April 19th, I remember this guy at my old job told me, wow, I really thought you were a privileged white girl who had everything handed to her and you had an attitude because you were spoiled. How'd you feel?
So, I worked at Panera Bread at the time. I hated working there. It was trash. Okay, the food is great. The management is trash. That's been my word like for 3 weeks now, and I love it.
Trash.
But so I walked into work at that time. I believe I got kicked out of my brother's house. I had no place to live. I was moving in with my friend's mom. I lived with her in the back of a trailer in a small room. I could fit only one bin of my clothes, sleeping on a bed that wasn't mine, with a hole in the ceiling above me where when it would rain, it would leak on me. Like, I was in a really crazy situation and nobody knew. A lot of people still don't know that I was living that. Like, I was living there right before I made it into rhetoric. Like, so, and I was pissed off. I was at work. I had to wake up at 4 in the morning to go there. And a customer got an attitude with me and I'm in the back, like, going off. And he's like, "What's wrong with you? You got your life made. You have an attitude." I said, "Excuse me?" I went off my man. I was like, "You don't know me." I was like, when I was 13, my mom died. I went in and told him my whole life. I was like, when I was 13, my mom died and I had to move out here and I got kicked out when I was 15 and I've been homeless on and off and I've been kicked out almost every place that I've lived. I've been told that I would be nothing. I said, "How dare you?" And he was like, "Wow."
Right, because
I'm really sorry. And then I was like, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go off on you like that." And I was crying and I was like, "I didn't mean to go off on you like that. I'm just sick of people thinking that just because I'm white, I got my life made." And he was like, "Honestly, that's what I thought." And he was like, "You carry yourself like you haven't been through that." And he's like, "Until like I see you snap." He's like, or get angry. He's like, "I don't know why you're angry. So I just assumed that you were spoiled." And I was like, "Nah, man, I'm not." And he was like, "Wow." And he literally like had tears in his eyes and gave me a hug. And it wasn't like a pity hug. It was like I feel like a jerk for judging you type hug thing. And I'm really sorry. And then we became super cool. And like to this day when I see him in public, I'm like, "Manny, yo, what's good?" Like we're like the greatest of friends. But it took like that breakdown for me to be like, "Look," like, in order to say that. But I get that quite a lot.
So as you say that, right, because you talked about in another status, you said, "I slept on an air mattress for 7 months once while working full-time hours at a part-time trash job. I'm performing on weekends and dying inside." Can you imagine you rocking the stage, but you're just in a bad place? I lived off of oatmeal, eggs, and chips for months. 3 S's on months. 4. I've learned to ask for help when needed. I pushed through all of this while balancing a memory issue, a brain injury, and depression. I've done this all with no parental support and guidance. God has truly been my foundation and shelter. He has placed the exact people in my life at the exact right time. I'm telling you, there's nothing you can't overcome when you live your life for the purpose of God and to help you, man.
Wow. Just you reading that, I'm like, that's me.
Speaking of you, so, and this is actually going to segue into a question I know that my guest interviewer has, but let's talk about this. April 21st. If a woman's shoulders is enough to send you into a lustful downward spiral, you need Jesus. The real one. LOL. Or therapy.
Alright, so my religious background, a lot of people don't know, I come from the Apostolic Church. So for me to go into the church that I was part of for 10 years dressed like this, I probably get laid hands on and people think I need the Holy Ghost. Kevin knows, he's been to my church quite a few times. That's how, he knows me before like poetry blew up for me, so shout out to Kevin. But so I went to a really, really strict apostolic church where women can only wear skirts, and if you wore a skirt, your knees could not be shown. You could not wear makeup, you could not wear jewelry, you couldn't cut your hair. And all of these things have scriptural background that were just interpreted tremendously incorrectly, and I believed it.
So, you know, I started going to church after my mom died, so I'm vulnerable and I'm hearing all these teachings and I wanted to do whatever I could to get closer to God. So I followed all those rules to the T. I even told my best friend once that God was not going to use her because she had French tips on her nails. Why did I tell her that? Because I was told that. I was a sign language interpreter. I showed up to church and I showed up to sign, and someone told me I couldn't sign because I had on French tips. I wanted to serve God so bad I went into the bathroom and took off all my nail polish just so I could interpret. And it was crazy, like, and I remember being taught these things. So now, being who I am, learning that I am a woman and wearing a skirt and not wearing makeup, none of that equates modesty, none of it equates holiness, because I was not a holy person wearing a skirt and doing it all and still in ministry at church. There's a lot of things that I dealt with that my attire did not equal holiness. So I was doing all these things, and now, you know, I'm embracing my own style, who I truly am. There's churches to this day who will never book me. I've been unfollowed on Facebook, I've been blocked, I've been unfriended. I have people that I was once like this with who won't even speak to me. So I started pursuing like this modeling thing.
Yeah, I was about to say, because I've seen you doing that, and is that liberating for you?
Very. So I used to hate myself. Like, this question is like really loaded, but I used to hate myself. I used to hate the way I looked. I hated my teeth. I still struggle with that. Sometimes I still want braces, but I feel like I'm still cute with crooked teeth.
Yes, girl.
Y'all want my teeth crooked, so I mentioned it. And so like I get to make fun of from my nose, from my body. So I grew up in the hood. I'm the only few skinny white chicks, you know. I had no body up until like 2 weeks ago. I'm so serious, and I got that because I work out. Like, so I got made fun of really bad, like, for everything. So I hated myself. So I was like, you know, when I was younger, before like life tainted me, I used to be very outgoing and very outspoken, and I was like, you know, I might want to be a model one day. And then I was taught to hate myself, and I was like, you know what, like, I'm on this really big self-love journey. So I want a way, since I'm a public speaker and a poet by profession and full-time, I want a way to speak without speaking. Right. So when I do my photo shoots, it's not because I'm full of myself or I think I'm the most beautiful person. No, I want people to see my strength and my beauty and my confidence without me even opening my mouth. And I've gotten that feedback from a lot of my pictures, that like you could see your strength or your confidence just from looking at your picture. So I put that status up because my last photo shoots that I did, it's insinuated nudity. I'm not naked. My like homie took the pictures from me. And I had on a tank top and I like tucked in the sleeves. So it's just my shoulders, and the way he edited it, it looks like I'm naked. So I posted these pictures, and it was like, I couldn't wait to post these pictures. I'm like, yes, ha! Like, because a lot of people from my church are still on my Facebook. So like, I can't wait to do it. And like a lot of churches are probably gonna be like, oh, yeah, we paid her. Yeah, whatever. But so I posted this picture, and I just made a joke because my shoulders are out, and I just knew that I remember there was a time where like, I would wear freaking pants under my skirts in gym class because I didn't want to wear just pants. I joined the step team at my high school, and I was co-captain, by the way. Yes. And I asked my pastor for permission to wear jeans, like pants. Like, I remember almost not taking a job because the job required me to wear pants. So, in like the whole scope of modesty, the way I view modesty has changed. There is nothing wrong with me showing my shoulders. There is something wrong with a man wanting to have sex with me because my shoulders are out. There's a problem with that. There's an over-sexualization of women, and we're taught to appease men. I'm taught to cover up because there's a man who's gonna want to do me. No, like, don't want to do me. Like, stop it. Like, just, like, get it. You're not 13. You're 29. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or older. God.
I feel like I'm stepping a little ahead, but
yeah,
as you said that, right? I remember back in 2014, I was writing a song around that time that actually addressed this. I was writing a song for my album, and I actually spoke on this like in about 4 bars, and it was the whole Erica Campbell white dress thing. I don't know if y'all remember that. And it's like, when I saw the outrage, the fake outrage and all that, like, I'm just like...
That kind of plays off like the image that Ajanee, or I can't even say that. Ajanee. I know you like your friends and stuff, and I be saying her name. But I feel like the image that she is talking about, the church portraying like this image of perfection, this image of women not being sexual beings, this image of like all this stuff that like in the world is normal. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and if that makes sense. Like, in the world, it's not like, oh, she got on a tight dress, oh my God, what? You know? Like, all those things that are, like, normal, like, in the church or to portray that image is, like, completely untouchable. And people forget that she's a human being with a body that's banging. And why would she have to cover it up? Like, and I was really shocked by the outrage. I'm like
covered up in such extreme measures.
Extreme measures. Really? Like, I'm not all for, like, I'm not gonna walk around with, like,
there's limits.
my nipples out or something.
Right.
Like, I was trying to think, what are my limits now? Well, I'm not gonna try. I'm just saying, to be like, because people in New York, I don't live out here. People out here.
I think that's why when I saw the arrogant thing, I was like, really? Because I live in New York, I see all kinds of like, really?
And maybe it's like, because like the majority, I don't know, a lot of the Christian population in the country is not in New York. Like, you know, it's like across the country, and they're very conservative. Like, I'm from Illinois, and they're super still conservative. Like, out here it's very liberal, and I see that in my own thinking just from living out here for so long.
Speaking of liberal thinking, so I actually have one more question for Miss Status. Actually, let me ask that really quick, and before I get to this last question, so you said something to the effect of, I high-key love Jay-Z. High-key.
I really like him a lot.
Why?
I still listen to tracks that like I heard from.
And I know you love Beyonce because I follow you on Insta stories and listen, you did like about 10 snaps of like you just going in on Lemonade Records and Single Lady.
So like my friends have this video from when I was like 17, right? And at the time I was like super apostolic, and I was singing Irreplaceable. So like my friends were like, how do you know all the words to this song? And I'm like, I love Beyonce. So there's a video of me like dancing in like a sheet. Like, and no, they didn't. This is like back in the day, like teenage years. Like when I'm famous, I told them to sell that. Like they would get rich. Like it's so funny. But I've loved Beyonce ever since like she became Beyonce. Like I always loved her. I don't know why. She's just great.
What about Jay? You know I'm from Brooklyn, so
his lyrics
I'm with
are
it.
like dope. Like I still listen to his stuff, and I'm like, what? And it's a song that I've heard like a million times. And I just like it. I like his voice. I like his swag. I don't even know if people say swag anymore, but whatever. I like his style. I think he's original. He's different, and he's like, you know how Beyonce has like this untouchable persona kinda? I don't want to say he's like the male Beyonce, but in the way he is, like he's like they're both like very mysterious, and I think that's why I like it, because they're like the most famous, and still you don't know personal things about their life. And I have an issue with like trying to be secretive and still being utterly transparent, and I like that they can do that.
Gotcha. One last question for you, and it's funny you mentioned lyrics because you're full of them. You're a poet. You're a great poet, and obviously some of the biggest ones that you put out include Dear Black Man, right? How has Dear Black Man changed your life since you put it out?
I think it revealed a part of me to the world that a lot of people didn't know existed. And it made me realize that a lot of people who were for me are not. And that they're okay with me being quiet, white little Leah, who's different. And not okay with me being like white Leah, who is black power. Like, and authentically that. And not putting on a show. Like, this is me. Like, I've been this my whole life. Like, whole life.
Do you feel like you've had to convince people over the course of time? Like, always convince, always like... I can only imagine it's like you put a picture up showing strength and everybody's like, no, you're just trying to be sexy for the gram.
All the time, every day. It's annoying. But, especially when it comes to racial issues. So, I'm from Chicago. I grew up in an all-black neighborhood. There was 2 white families on my street, and we were one of them. My mother was she was white, but she was Italian, so she was like dark-skinned white. Like she was olive complexion. Like so when I have memories of my mother, I don't think white. I think Anita. Like I think my mom. Like I'm not saying she wasn't a race, but she like the stereotypical white woman was not my mother. So I can't say like I come from a white woman because I don't. She's not that. She's not that. So she welcomes everyone into our home. We constantly have people living with us. So I often say that I have brothers of different colors. I had like 3 brothers named Mike, white Mike, black Mike, and Mikey. One was white, one was black, and one was Mexican. And then all my brothers, like to this day, like they always comment on my stuff, like inappropriate things. But like Jermaine, Carlos, Armando, all of them, like my brothers lived with me, watched me grow up. I had all these images of men of color that like were amazing to me. Whereas my sense of comfort, my home, like that's my home. So when I moved out here, I realized that like white people out here are not like white people where I'm from. They're not. Like where I live in the Hamilton, Trenton area. They're very racist. It's very segregated. It's very hateful. I went to an all-white high school, so I'm from like an all-black neighborhood. My mother passed away, moved to a multicultural home. My sister's husband's from Pakistan and he's your complexion. So I lived in a multicultural, multiracial home, different religion, went to an all-white high school, and then I went to an all-black church. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, seriously, I was like living in this like racial utopia where everyone just loved each other because we all poor. Like I got called a white girl, but not like, you cracker. Like I got called a cracker the other day for the first time. Like, for the first time with hate behind it. I got called a cracker walking down in Harlem. It took
that was a status. That's what the status I put up. That was the status I took down.
I put a status and told the world, and this chick made a status about me, calling me Becky. I said, girl, we will. I said, you don't want these problems.
Yo, Leah be trying to lay hands on Facebook.
Yeah.
I be seeing
I had to delete and block her because I was like,
that's
what?
insane.
So I'm just like, I say all of that to give all that background to say, dear black man comes from an authentic place. It's not like, I just look at black men like, oh, I want me a black man, because, oh, no. Like, I never thought like that. I didn't even know people thought like that. And so people were like, oh, I know why you only date black guys. And I'm like, what? I don't. Like, at the time, like, I ain't never been kissed. And people are like, why? Why do people? I was so naive, like, seriously. And then I released Dear Black Man. It got, like, thousands of views in one night. And I was like, oh, my God. Like, I didn't expect that. And it just hit over, like, 8,000 on my personal YouTube channel. And it's been out for a year, which is, like, a huge deal for me. So it changed my life. It put me in the spotlight in a different way. I've had people tell me that I shouldn't get paid to perform Dear Black Man because I'm white. I have, people who were like, I was on the same poetry team with. I've had people tell me it was disrespectful that, black women say this all the time, but now that I'm a white woman saying it, I get applauded. And I'm like, well, where's your Dear Black Man poem? I don't see yours anywhere. Why didn't you write it? Like, I'm serious.
My man,
I really said that. I'm serious, like, people get so mad, and I'm like, but you didn't say anything. Like, if you feel how I felt, like, why aren't you saying it?
Drop a gem on it.
Yeah, so, I mean, it showed a lot of people's true colors, but at the same time, I've had people inbox me telling me that they've never loved themselves until they saw that poem, that they didn't know that there was white people out there who cared, that all these things that I'm like, that's crazy. Right. Like, if I have to be that one person and have like a few haters, then that's fine, but there's people out there whose lives are being changed by being appreciated by my poem.
That's crazy.
So, yeah.
Well, before I bring my partner in crime to also interrogate y'all, I want to ask a question of all three of you. So I was watching, I'm a big Zane Lowe fan. He's a British journalist, and he's interviewed a bunch of like pop artists, and his latest subject was Kendrick Lamar, and I watched it last night. And Zane asked Kendrick about the fact that, on this latest album you put out, you make it very clear that you affirm yourself as the best rapper alive. And it's like, yeah, I truly believe that. And it's like, why? And it's like, well, it's more than just the skill set and the work I put in. It's just I know that I have to be the best rapper alive because I know that everybody listening is hanging on my every word and hanging on every responsible thing that I'm trying to put in these songs. Like, I'm just not writing for the sake of writing. I'm realizing that I have a purpose here. So I need to be the best so that people can understand and get what I'm saying. So I found that to be like, yep. So I think I got the sense of, well, I want to ask you guys from Leah for the most part, but I really want to ask Ajanee and Angie, like, what do you, why do you do what you do? Why do you think you're here? Like, what's your purpose? What's your mission statement? Are you trying to be the best vocalist alive? Are you trying to be the best rapper alive for your own, like, what's the start?
Since I have the mic, I guess. I'm just playing. I don't know how many of you know this about me, but I'm not supposed to be alive. I had a stroke when I was 16, and my brain was hemorrhaging for hours. So before that, I felt like I had no purpose, and I felt like I had nothing to offer the world, even though I was not foolish, but I was greatly mistaken at the time. But I almost lost my life, and not only did I almost lose my life, like I'm literally medically not supposed to be here. Like I just got some paperwork in the mail the other day, and I read it, and I was speechless because I'm like, dude, like not only did I have a memory issue, I had a plethora of issues from this stroke, and from having my stroke, it pushed me to memorize my poetry because I'm the type of person, you tell me I can't do something, I'm gonna do everything in my power to do it. I'm super rebellious in a good way, I guess.
Yeah.
So it pushed me to memorize my poetry and to pour out my heart. But if I didn't have that experience, or if I didn't realize how precious my life was to God, I probably never would have pushed to do that. Once I overcame that, I realized there's probably nothing in my life that I cannot overcome. And if there's nothing in my life that I cannot overcome, there's nothing in your lives that you cannot overcome. And I have a mandate. My voice is not even supposed to exist. So every time I speak, I want people to feel God, no matter what I'm talking about, and to give them hope. Like my whole message is hope. Like there's nothing you can't overcome, and there's nothing in your life that should make you feel hopeless, because I've overcome it all. So my purpose, I don't care about being the best. Like I find myself getting a little envious of poets like going on tour and stuff like that. But I'm like, well, how much of a personal impact are they making one-on-one? You know, like you know, I find myself being envious, and I put myself in check. Like, no, this is my lane, and I'm called here to do this and to speak to this person and to change lives one by one by one. And God has been showing me that that's what I'm called to do. So I don't care about being the best. I don't think my lyrics are that great. I don't think like I have the best metaphors or similes or whatever. Like I don't write like that. I write from what my heart says, and what I write is what's on the page. So my goal is to like literally bring people closer to God and closer to themselves. Okay. If that answers your question.
No, that's about it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Angie, how about you? You look like you were really thinking about that.
I think about it a lot. I think I was trying to like make it concise. Like how do I funnel? I think part of the truth is like I have to like I've been doing this on accident my whole life. You know, like when I was a kid, they used to bang beats in the school, and I just would rap, and it became a thing. Like I became like the popular kid in school just off of rapping, like out of nowhere. In church, they didn't have anybody. I did that. My brother, like just so much about my life has created what I believe God is still creating. So I'm not done, obviously, but I think that I'm just done trying to swim against the current of God's calling. And behind that, I always tell people I don't really like people, but I love people. I'm super introverted.
I can tell that. I can tell that your circle is very small. Not because you're standoffish, but because it is what it is.
Because I think that I really see people, and it can be draining when you can see everything in somebody and feel that pull to like want to help somebody be better that God didn't intentionally put in your life. It's not that.
Whoa.
Wow.
It's not that we're not called to bless. It's just certain people can bless somebody better, and I can be getting in the way. I believe that there's certain, like the key of my voice to the people that are listening in that moment will minister because God called it and ordained it. So I can be trying to sing in somebody else's key and not touch as deep. And so I think over time I've just realized that, like I said before, like doing what I'm called to do in a real way, but also living that calling. So yeah, like I was gonna say, I love people genuinely, and so that's a big part of my music. I think I put a lot of what I don't say to people outside of my circle inside of the music, in the hopes that when they're listening to it in their headphones, they feel like they're having that personal conversation. I want people to know that they're understood. I tell people all the time, there's 6 billion people in the world. Somebody has got to relate to what I'm saying. I don't do it to chase fans. I don't do it because I think that comes like, seek first the kingdom of heaven, all other things will be added. So if I'm seeking to really bless people, then everything else comes as a byproduct. So why I do what I do is just because I think that people need to hear what I needed to hear and what I need to hear consistently. And so a lot of times the songs that I'm writing are because when I wrote Unstoppable, I felt stoppable. Like I felt broken. I was stuck in between a contract and I had to get out of it. And so I wrote a song that I didn't even like. And I listened back.
That's so honest.
I listen back from time to time and I'm like, that's crazy. Bright lights, same place. Like I wrote that walking. Like I think it's just, again, it's when you understand, I think that what God calls you to do, you'll do naturally. You don't have to force yourself to sing. You don't have to force yourself to write it. It's something that happens. And I think that that's how you know that that's what you're meant to bless somebody else with.
Gotcha. Ajanee?
First of all, are they not like super phenomenal? Like, beautiful. I believe the reason why I do it is because I was afraid to. And I don't know if anybody follows me on Instagram, but I have this Be Brave kind of like movement on there. And the reason why that was birthed was because for a while I really, and still do sometimes struggle with anxiety. Like being on stage made me anxious. There were times when I was literally having full-on anxiety attacks, and I would look over at Malik, who's back there. So I would look over to him and he would know exactly what was going on and just start praying for me. But I do it because I know that I can, and I want to show other people who deal with mental illnesses and like depression.
Yeah.
People have this stigma that makes it seem like you guys can't do anything because you're mentally ill, and I don't believe that's true. So I know that I have to do this just so I can prove to the world, for you guys and with you guys who deal with anxiety and different things like that, that we can do it and we can be successful. We don't have to succumb to suicide. There's life to be lived even with the issues that we have. So that's the reason why I do it.
We got a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Man, that's a lot. And there's still more to cover. And to help me cover this, this sister I'm about to bring up on stage to join the four of us is a MC. She's a poet, she's a journalist in her own right. Really an awesome person, and we talked about probably doing this the last time we did this series, when it was Andre Bird, and it was Chris Morgan, when it was Cole Campbell. Who's the other person that I feel like I'm missing somebody? O'Dane was the fourth person. So, Evie, would you like to join us? Everybody give it up for Evie, ladies and gentlemen. So I figured, I'm interviewing three ladies. There's certain questions I could ask, and I don't think it would be a problem for me to ask, but I feel like, women have this way of relating to women in certain aspects, and I felt like maybe, And then plus, I knew she had questions for you guys as well, and I think there's certain things I think the crowd here would love to get your perspective on, so.
Hi. I think you guys, all three of you individually, are like very inspiring. Each purpose is beautiful and just unique in its own way, and I'm cheering you guys on for the sidelines. Okay, so before I get to my questions, there was one thing you said that kind of like struck me, because I'm like, hey, that's me too. You said something about being out there as far as your work, but being very private. And I want you to elaborate a little bit more on that,
I noticed that I had like this burst of like freedom and transparency, and I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna be transparent and tell everybody everything, so everyone can relate and just know, because I'm not the only one. And then I realized that there's a balance that needs to be there, especially getting into like my first serious relationship. I wanted to post pictures and tell the world and be like, this is my man, this is my, I really did. And then like he's very private, and I'm like, I've been a secret my whole life, so I'm like, we're like getting into arguments, and like I just want to tell the world everything, and I realized.
Y'all had arguments about that? It's like, I want to.
It was just me. I'm sorry. And he was just like, but, and I was like, but no. He was just like, but, and I was like, that I'm just like, I want everyone to know everything. I realized that there's people who follow my poetry who like what I say, but they don't really like me. They don't know me. You know, like I'm transparent, but you don't, like, I have a very small group of friends who know me, who have seen me, like, you know, get mad or cry or something like that. So when it comes to like that specifically, like, there's a way where you can be transparent and let people know who you are, but still protect yourself. I used to be protected, like bitter protected, but now I'm protected, like, no, I need boundaries and I need space, and this is my life, and you can know this about it, and this is what you need to know, like that. So I'm still learning, and it's still a process because I still want to tell the world everything.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's been hard, yeah. Good question.
I definitely did that though, because I think I've been through my fair share of exposing too much, you know, and then, you know, coming across situations where it's just like what you expose that's too much is now used against you. So, you know.
And it's not only, I learned it's like, it's not only about you.
Right.
Like, even though I want to tell the world, like, you know, about love and like stuff like that, if it involves another person, like, I might be able to handle the attention because I perform in front of thousands of people, but they might not be able to handle the attention because they live day to day. Like, they just go to work in church. Like, you know, like, so I'm learning that, to respect other people when I reveal what I do reveal.
So Evie and I were talking about you guys as far as like the things that we would feel like we would want to know. And we talked about the whole idea of dating. That whole thing. And I know you had something that you really wanted to find out about. Like in terms of just like, what is dating like in a sense, right? Like, cause, you know, I think, no, for real. Cause all right, so from a guy's perspective, right? You guys are all beautiful women, talented, intelligent, carry yourselves a certain way. How or if does a man, when they're particularly a saved man, particularly a believer like you, how do they come across you? How do they approach you? Should they approach you? Well, it's weird, right? So,
Don't get to the point if you worship the ground I walked on. I'm like, no, get out of here. Like, it's weird. That's all I gotta say. It's all weird.
why is it? So you said it was weird. Why?
No, because people put me on a pedestal, and I'm sure you guys can relate. Like, we're perfect, we're untouchable. Leah James is this, she's this. I got emotional baggage. I know I have parents. I'm insecure sometimes. I deal with depression and anxiety. What you see on stage, and like I'm cute or whatever. But what you see on stage, like there is tremendous layers and depth to me that I feel like a lot of men can't handle because they have this image and this perfection, and then, you know, the first time you see Leah James cry or break down, you're like, oh my God. Do I know? Like, I've been there.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's frustrating. So now I'm at a point where like, dating, I don't really want to date ever again in my life. No, I'm just playing. But like, not ever again. But I realize that like a lot of men, especially, like they put us on pedestals, like we're perfect, we're untouchable, but we're human beings. We just are bold enough to live out our purpose.
Did you get a lot of weird DMs when you dropped Dear Black Man?
Yeah. Yeah, I still get them. I'm like, get out of this weird. If they were cute, it'd be different. But say, I'm just saying, no, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Cool. Anybody else have any weird horror stories or just perspectives on dating, especially as an artist?
Well, as an artist, I think, well, just from my perspective, they see how many people follow me and how perfect I look, I guess, on Instagram, and that kind of runs them away. So as far as like guys wanting to date me, I don't get the question, do you want to go out?
Yes.
I don't get that.
No, what I was aiming for is more towards Christian men.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's that like? You know, because I know there's a lot of Christian men that appear, you know, to be something because of, you know, an image they have to uphold, but then you know. Wait.
Wait, what?
Oh no, the house got clear.
Did something happen? Okay.
Wait, no,
Did I miss something?
What is the question?
Okay, let's go.
What has been your experience with Christian men?
Oh, okay.
With Christian men, because I dated so long ago, we were like 3 or 4 years ago, we were both growing in the Christian, lifestyle. So it was like we evened each other out, we balanced each other out. So it wasn't bad dating a guy who was a Christian. He's trying to figure it out how to live saved, and I am too. So it wasn't bad for me. That's my experience.
Okay, so I guess my question now is, especially in the stage of your life now, what would be the best approach, if at all? Like, what do you look for somebody who's a partner, as far as like in the future? Maybe not now, but like, say like if you're gonna walk this walk with me, this is what I'm looking for, because a lot of times some men can't handle being next to you. Really can't handle it, and you might think, well, I'm not anything, I'm just being used by God. But some men might be insecure in themselves to the point where it's just like, they might feel like their manhood is at the sacrifice of lifting you up. So... No, don't talk
If a man feels that way, you're not a man. If you are intimidated by the number of people who follow me and how many men are in my inbox and how many likes I get or hearts I get on my pictures or crap like that, you need to grow up a little bit, because if I'm with you, I'm with you. And people know, Leah James, if I'm with someone, like it's serious.
Right.
So it's like, no, if they feel that way, if they feel intimidated by it, then you're just not the one for me.
Gotcha. Okay, that's fair. Anything else that you had in mind?
As far as your image and society's perception of like the kind of image you should uphold, what I kind of wanted to know was, what's your definitions of sexy versus conservative? No, go ahead.
No, everybody has a definition. That's the hot take.
Well, I guess if sexy isn't just showing your body, because I feel like I'm really sexy right now, and I got a headscarf on. I'm sorry, like y'all are like,
no.
What? But I'm saying, like, sexy is like an aura. It's who you are, and I feel like as Christian women, we're taught not to be sexy. But then, like, it's just this whole like, if I can get real, we all adults in here. This whole image and like sexuality and being a woman and not being a sexual being is frustrating, because we like sex too. Okay, I'm saying. So like a woman, it felt so good to say that in front of like a whole bunch of people. But I'm just saying, like, being sexy, like, we're taught like we can't be sexy. But why can't we be sexy? Because then, okay, so I'm taught to be this modest woman who doesn't like sex, don't know what my body does, nothing like that, and then I get married. And then I'm lost. And I'm thrown in an ocean of sexuality. And it could take a huge toll on your relationship, and this is real because I know people who go through it, and I have had my own experiences. So then, like, you're not prepared for any of these things that come along with being sexy. So here I am, sexy, looking good and this and that, but then I get a man, and now my sexiness comes into play. And now what do? Like, and I'm like, oh my God, like I didn't expect to get you. Like I was just being sexy because I'm sexy. Like, So like, then we're lost and we don't have these conversations and we don't talk about sexuality in a beautiful way. We talk about sexuality as don't do that, don't touch them, don't be alone, don't wear this. But why don't we talk about what we should do, or what's beautiful about sexuality, or why you should abstain? It's not just abstain because God says abstain. Abstain because there's a whole bunch of psychological stuff that comes out along with it if you don't abstain. Like it's not. It's just like it's a whole huge package that like really frustrates me as a woman, who is like not afraid to talk about sex or like something like that. And I feel like being sexy it's a lot to it, but it's not something that people should shy away from. I feel like also as women, we're taught to shy away from sexuality to protect a man, right? So I'm not going to wear a short skirt because it's going to cause my brother to fall. I mentioned this before. No, why don't you just deal with being able to be around a woman in a short skirt. Like, I feel like that's crazy to me. Like, in the world, women wear short skirts all the time and men are jumping all over them just doing them. Like, you know what I'm saying? I should be able to wear a short skirt in church and you can control yourself. Like, and it's like, I come from that background where I'm taught protect myself or cover up to protect my brother, cover up to protect another person. No, cover up because you want to cover up or don't cover up because it's your choice.
And another thing about sexuality, just from a male perspective, it's not just a visual thing, it's a mental thing too. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because there's times, like I'm in a relationship, and I know there's sometimes when it's like the way my woman would speak or say certain things, I find it's a turn on. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like being able to deal with that in that moment. You know what I'm saying? And just being like, you know, acknowledging it. Yeah. I think that's a problem too. I think sometimes we're in denial. Like, no,
that's a part of our being. Like,
right.
We're only supposed to be like intellectual and spiritual, but not sexual. When we're in a body that is created to procreate, like what? Like, is that not it bother anyone else? Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, you find all these things attractive, but it's like at the same time, we're like, oh, that's taboo. That's a wrong part of me. That's bad. Well, maybe if we embraced it and we looked at it as good, we'd be able to wait because it is so good that we would love it and appreciate it. And I'm like, I'm gonna hold this good thing and grow it and nurture it, and then when it's time, it's gonna be beautiful and amazing.
So,
I don't even know I felt like
no, go for it.
There's something about when someone tells you not to touch that.
Right.
It's like now you want to see what, you know what I mean? Instead of, like she's saying, educating these young women on what it's all about. Yeah.
Yes. Evie, we were also talking about in terms of like body image. You had some questions about that, right? As far as like how people see themselves in that aspect.
Yeah. Like I've seen, as far as I've seen you know, when I looked at your YouTube videos, you've gone through that process of like the skirts, and I've seen the evolution. But my question would be, how was the struggle as far as like self-esteem and body image when it came to society? Like, what were the pressures? Because I know that it's very easy for a female to feel like, well, I'm not in because I don't have the biggest breasts or the biggest butt, or you know, I'm just not society's in. You know, so I really want to know like what was the journey in becoming yourselves? You know, just being free, being who you are.
I feel like I'm still on that journey, but I'm in a place that I love on the journey. I grew up extremely skinny and like, you know, like black women got bodies. Right. I mean, not all black women, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like they're voluptuous, like, you know, big boobs, big butt. I don't have either. Like, and it was made known to me constantly. I got made fun of for having a small chest. I got made fun of for being skinny. I actually wanted to go up and get plastic surgery. Like that was in my mind. Like I'm gonna get fake boobs and I don't care.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I wanted that. Like I remember, like it's crazy because I just had the conversation. I'm like, yo, like I love my body. Like I love it. Like love the body I'm in. But it was a long journey to get there. Like I started working out, and it was like, you're so skinny. Why are you working out? I started working out because I was, number one, I was extremely unhealthy. I was a stroke survivor, and I was extremely underweight for my height. So you can work out to gain weight. So I've gained maybe like 40 pounds from working out.
Nice.
And I love my body. And it's like, you know, people are like, oh, you're still skinny. Why are you working out? I'm like, I'm working out to not just be thick and be voluptuous, but to realize this is my temple, this is my home. I am in this place every day, and if I don't love the place that I'm in every day, it's going to affect how I interact with everyone else. Once I started working out and loving my body, my performances changed. I used to walk into a room and like feel like instantly like self-conscious, like, oh my God, they're going to see that like I'm wearing this and this and my teeth and this. Like all these things.
It's got to be distracting, right?
So
like you're trying to get into a zone and it's
right.
like, oh,
and
I'm
now
trying
I'm
to pick myself apart.
Right, and now I'm like, there's no other place I would rather be than in my own body. And it took years. Like I started doing like affirmations. It sounds really weird, and I kind of stopped doing them. And I saw like the effects that it had on me mentally. I would look in the mirror and I would be like, you're beautiful. You got this. You are beautiful. You really got this, yo. Like your smile is gorgeous. Your eyes, they look like the ocean. Like I would like literally compliment myself like I was complimenting a stranger.
You heard that poem, right?
I started to
like, ocean.
Right? I'm so romantic with myself.
I've seen it.
But,
it took a long time, and it felt really weird. But like by doing that, I literally started to like love literal things about myself. Like my smile is beautiful, my eyes are beautiful. I don't have to have a big booty to get a man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like all those things are great for the moment, but they don't last forever. And what is really something, a gift that you give someone, is your soul.
Hey Angie, oh no, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Okay.
I just want to say I didn't have well, I have the butt and I have the breast, just being honest. But I didn't have the hair or the pretty eyes, and I was enough to sleep with in their mind, you know what I mean? But as far as like, that's the one, or, you know, off the back, and I think a lot of black women go through that because our hair is kinky and it's not what everybody, you know, likes. We got the butt, we got all of this stuff, so it's enough for me to be, you know, a one-night stand. But as far as like, she's the one because look at her eyes or her face or whatever. I went through a lot of like psychological stuff with that. Yeah, as a young girl, just growing up thinking this is all I have to offer, you know. And I sat with my therapist not too long ago, maybe like a year ago, and he said to me, "What do you have to offer? What do you bring to the table?" And I couldn't answer the question. And he said, "That's the problem. You don't know what you have to offer." And he started going down the list, and I mean, this man just met me of all the beautiful things about me. And I think every woman should do that. It's not about all of this. It's about what you can bring from here, from inside, from here. Like, what do you have going on in your mind to bring to a man, to add on to him or him to you? You know what I mean? So I think we really need to focus more so on our hearts versus all of this stuff.
Yeah, in addition to what you just said, yeah, we can clap that up, for real. In addition to what you said, what struck me also about what you just said is the fact that you actually said, hey, I went to a therapist to deal with this.
Oh, yeah.
Because in our community, going to therapists or counselor or whatever, it's like, no, you crazy, we don't deal with that. We don't talk that in front of people. I admire that you actually did that.
And maybe we are a little bit sick in the head.
We're creatives.
What? I mean,
we're artists.
When you have cancer, when you have diabetes, you go to the doctor, and that is the doctor for your mind. Go to the doctor and get checked out. Get whatever your diagnosis may be. I mean, you don't have to live by that, but find out what it is that you can do to fix whatever's wrong with your mind.
Gotcha.
I want to just add something.
Sure, go for it.
Before you go forward. You know, that's very powerful because I think that even as Christians, you know, we're very big on the, oh, well, Jesus, you know, in Jesus' name I'm healed. Or, you know, like we walk according to that. But sometimes you really just need help. You need something much more than what, you know, your faith can offer. Not that...
And who's to say that God isn't using that opportunity or those resources for you to fix it?
Well, just
I'm sorry.
Real quick, I was gonna say, faith without works is dead.
There you go.
You gotta do something in order for that thing to get fixed. It's not just gonna pop out of nowhere.
Right. So you gotta put in the footwork in order for that to, you know, work out.
Yeah, absolutely. I had one other question for Angie. Was there ever a time when you were made to feel like you were playing up your looks or your femininity to gain followers, to get streams, to build your brand per se? Like, were you ever in a situation where it's like, really, that's what y'all think? Because I posted this picture or I carry myself a certain way, or?
No, I've actually never heard it, but I'm pretty sure somebody's saying it.
Right.
They ain't say it to me, so I mean, whatever. What I had a girl DM me. I wore a crop top one time. And I had a girl DM me like, sis, you know, we look up to you for like your modesty and blah blah blah, and this kind of like, you know, threw me off. And she was like, but I didn't want to say it like in front of everybody or whatever, because, and I respected it a lot. Like I was like, yo, you dope. And I was like, you know, just I was like, it's not easy to go from being like a regular, nobody cares what you dress like, to all of a sudden people are
all eyes on you.
Yeah, are worried or concerned about that. Like, and it's not to say that I grew up in church, so I've always understood like I think the balance which is why I don't think I really struggle with this issue too much. Like I just dress like me. The crop top type thing was new, and so when she said, I was like, all right, like I hear you, and so I was like, you know, sis, I just encourage you to keep me in prayer that that ultimately I would let God guide my walk, because if He does, then I'm gonna be good. His goal, like God's goal, is always our good, His good, and our good, their good, and His glory. And so once I understand that, then I'm like unconcerned about anything else. So it's regarding the question of people saying I'm playing up my looks. Like I said, I haven't heard it to my face.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody's saying it, then pray for me, like, because that's not the goal. But hey, if it works.
Yeah, right. Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, I actually did one for you. So this whole Christian hip hop artist thing and just hip hop artists, you know, what category do you place your music or you in? Not that there has to be a category or a label, but how do you see yourself?
Well, there is a label, right? So I don't put myself in it, but I let the listener decide where they want to put me.
Right.
I'm just making music. And if you like Christian hip hop and you say that my music is Christian hip hop, then go ahead. If you like hip hop and you say my music is hip hop, go ahead. You like R&B, you say my music R&B, go ahead. I don't care like where you put me, as long as like if you enjoy the music, then enjoy the music. Like
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Is that pretty much? Well, I know I got your non-label status on that. Like, how do you feel about that, Leah? Like, I'm just a poet.
Actually, it makes my skin itch. And I'm like, but I have a lot of poems that aren't Christianese or like, you know, and I feel like it puts you in a box.
Mm-hmm.
And God is a big God who cares about multiple different things, and like I feel God when I do Dear Black Man.
Right.
You know, like I feel God. Like I feel what I know when I talk about like social justice. So I'm a poet. I'm a poet, but like I love Jesus, and that is my foundation and my filter through which I sip everything.
Gotcha.
So I'd rather just be called Leah.
Okay. It's a nice name too. So we can Leah. That's good. Yeah, I think for me as an artist, I think I've never necessarily had a problem with being called a Christian hip hop artist or otherwise. I think I just don't want to be limited in what I want to rap about. That's my main thing. Because it's like, if you're a Christian hip hop artist, you must only rap about A, B, C, and D, not E, F. And I'm like, nah, that's not the life we live, you know? So, yeah, I like it. Does anybody here have any questions?
I have a couple.
You have a couple?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. I don't know who I'm going to start with, but it's very difficult, interesting. So I'm going to have to pick, let's see. Is it the middle? Is it the right? Or is it the left?
Just like tic-tac-toe right there.
Yeah, this is like Scrabble.
Right.
I would just say.
How about this? Why don't you ask the question and let's see who answers it first? You can do that.
Oh, that's interesting. So let's pick Angie Rose.
Okay.
Angie Rose. You know that we know each other like closely, like brother and sister, like tight. So my question is to you, like.
Hilarious.
See, every time when I see you, Angie, it's like, it's funny to me. No, but seriously, let's get to your question.
Yeah.
My question is like, how did God draw you to that childhood of a sister womanhood that He bring you up as a Christian leader, sisterhood leadership? Like, that's kind of amazing, like an amazing question to me. I just want to.
So, are you asking me how I became like a Christian?
Like, how did you come like an original Christian? Right?
Okay. I don't know that I had anything to do with it, to be honest. I think it was a combination of just life. I always look at life like God, like weaving together a tapestry. And I didn't really have anything to do with the thread that He used. But I'm here, so it's kind of just like my parents were pastors. My brother did hip hop and sold drugs. Like it's the same house. Like it had nothing to do. I didn't choose to be born there. It just happened. And so me loving Jesus and loving hip hop wasn't my choice. It's what it looked like. And so I think the same for all of us. Like we didn't really have anything to do with. We did because we like said yes to Jesus, and there was that exchange. But as far as what he chose to cook the meal with, we didn't have any choice in the ingredients.
That's awesome.
Any other questions from anybody else?
So this is really well, I got two questions actually.
Okay.
Angie, I know you've been out for a minute. It's been like you've been doing stuff for a minute, and it seems like you've been on this grind. You haven't put out a project, but you're about to put the mixtape out. And it's like she seems like she's trying to get like a spot in the industry. I've told my peoples like that. Like you look like you try to get that. Is that the case, or you kind of said it a little bit? You had a lot of contract issues. If that's really the case, that you were supposed to put something out that kind of hold things up, and now you finally started to do stuff. Is that really what the case is, or is just like you're really trying to get something and then get a platform so much and then put stuff out?
Yeah, it's not really formulaic for me. I think a lot of what has happened is because it's just been like that. So like, all right, so I did a Wado interview, which was like the first thing that anybody really ever heard from me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a song out at that point. Like I hadn't even like been in the booth
really?
Like that. Like yeah, I was a student in school. John Rockin ended up. I did a feature for a friend. Chris Belmont ended up coming through and just, it was what it was. I started getting beats and stuff like that.
Okay.
I was sitting, he was like, oh, there's Wado's coming, like, come through and help. So I'm legit serving water. Yeah, I was serving water to the artists and chilling, and then when they would do their interviews, I was sitting on the floor like, and he was like, yo, you look like you could rap, and then boom, that's what happened.
Really?
After that, somebody commented and they were like, oh, does she have any music? No, there was no music. Kid goes, I would love to shoot her videos for her, for songs. I didn't have no songs. So I grabbed 4 industry beats and write to them. And I'm like, yo, what if we put this together? So Kid flies down from Chicago, boom, that ends up being what it was. Then I did Wannabe, same kid shoots the video because of a producer that has sent me a beat and said, hey, can you be on a mixtape off of Wado as well? So again, nothing was like, I couldn't make it happen the way it happened. Like Wado taking off, I was getting booked for shows without songs. You know what I'm saying? And so like my whole journey has been very much like that, and I think that God did it on purpose. Because now I'm very aware of what he's doing, and I try to make my moves according to that.
Right.
And sometimes it's on accident, like the mixtape coming together. But at the same time, look at how it came together. I do Sips Coffee, they're the bakery, boom, like, and so I'm just like, I know it looks like I'm planning things to people, but if y'all was in my room and seeing that I can't make a plan for the life of me, and I'll be frustrated because I plan things and they don't happen.
Right.
This mixtape was done in September. It's just about to drop now. I was ready to drop. I don't know if you was looking, I put out in September, like, yo, I think I'm gonna drop a mixtape on my birthday. What month is it? I don't even know what month. That's not crazy. I don't know. It was April.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just,
So you've been sitting on this for 6 months.
Yeah, it's just been there. So yeah, nothing
Maybe more.
planned, nothing. A lot of things just as it happens, and
I just kind of tripped into it.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Any other? I say yeah. I got 2 questions. My bad.
This goes for yeah. So
It's okay.
yeah.
Ajanee.
I kind of saw something on your status, like you was like something people got for you at work or something like that, and I was like, wait a second, you work? You know, and to me, is like, wait a second, your album came out like under Sony, you know, you're doing these different things, but to me that was so real, like, you know, it's like, wait a second, you part of this group, you on Bobby Jones and you got a 9 to 5, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's so real, you know. A lot of people think, oh, you're in the industry, you good, you know, like, just can you kind of speak about that? Because you kind of hinted before, you know, how long it took the album, but just the reality of being an artist, but you still got, like, you know, your 9 to 5, like, you know, the breakdown of that.
Being in the industry means you have to kind of hustle. the entire time. Well, yeah, it is a hustle. And if you know anything about a hustle, there's sometimes when it's like dry seasons when you're not making anything at all. And in Lavrae's case, we took so long to put the album out, we exasperated like all of the money's done. There is no money after the album. So you drop the album and then you don't have the money to promote the album. It's like you need money for everything. And if you're not getting gigs, then you're not making money, period. Because the label is recouping everything from CD sales. So after Lavrae put out their album, I just had in mind, I need to start working on my stuff. And I don't have a label, so I have to work a job. And sometimes you have to be your own source of income. You gotta get in a 9 to 5, and it is what it is. Right now I'm working for a company called Choice, and they advocate for people with mental illness. So it was God to even put me there just for whatever season it is, so I can be more knowledgeable about the field that I want to minister to. So it was God that put me in that place. But yeah, you gotta work. That it is what it is. Either way, if you're in the industry, you gotta work. You gotta bust your behind. If you want something more steady, then you gotta get a 9 to 5.
I'm gonna take, I know Ajanee needs to bounce out of here pretty soon, so I'm gonna take one more question from anybody. Anybody have any questions?
I have the last one.
Go for it.
This is for the middle right here, which you I love dearly, which you I love truly, respectable, honor, wisdom. She has everything that you need in one. Yeah, God gave it to you.
What's the question?
So the question is, God uses you as a tool, and then God says, do not let go of you right now. And then he's wondering, like, what could you help everybody else think or do to someone to change their life? Or what would you think of someone's not even going through what you're going through? Or what will happen if someone is not doing good? Or what?
I'm not really sure what the question is.
I think I got it. I think it's like, how is it important for you to like impact somebody's life, to kind of like get to the direction
that's
that
what
you
I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the most important thing to me. It's why I do what I do. Like, and I think like I try to do that by being real and like being honest and like talking about the things that nobody wants to talk about, like sex, like I did earlier, or body image, or like things that nobody wants to talk about. I feel like I'm called to do that because I'm usually different. I look different from everyone I'm around. Actually, we the same color, girl. It never happens. Like, no, for real, like it never happens. Like I'm usually the only like white one, so I'm different. So I feel like just by being different and being authentic, because like you said, like you can meet all these famous people, like. There's people who inbox me and I'll respond and they'll be like, oh my God, you responded. I can't believe I'm talking to you right now. And I'm like, I'm really sorry that you have to feel like that.
Right.
That you're so shocked that someone who performs took time to acknowledge you because you're a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I remember meeting like poets that I looked up to and they put a really nasty taste in my mouth. I'm like, I never want to be like them. Yeah. And these are poets that I would like, who encouraged me at one point to be a writer. I'm like, oh, they're amazing. And then I meet them in real life and I'm like, you suck. As a person, you're rude, you don't care, you're not authentic. I want to be everything, like the way that made me feel, I don't ever want to make anyone feel that way, ever. I want to like let them know that they're a person. It doesn't matter if you're on the stage or behind the mic or have 2 followers or 200,000 followers, you're still a human being. And I hope and I pray that I can exude that and treat everybody with that. I mean, everybody has bad days. Sometimes I have a lot of bad days. But like on my good days, or my, I want just people to feel loved. And I feel like that is the ultimate call of God. If you're speaking about Jesus and preaching about Jesus, but you're not letting people feel Jesus, you're not doing anything. So I just hope that I do that.
Got you. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Ajanee Hambrick. Give it up for Leah James. Give it up for Angie Rose. Yes, these are the phenomenal women. We had this conversation. Actually, I want to, because I know you got to bounce, like right now. Or are you good, or you got to get out?
I have no idea what time it is.
It's 4:20.
4:20?
4:20.
I didn't mean like that. But I meant like 4:20.
So actually, I wanted to grab, because I knew I wanted to actually grab a picture with you guys before you bounced out. But also, Leah, are you down at all to do a poem?
Yeah. You guys want to hear Dear Black Man?
Yeah. That's my favorite.
All right, so
Who hasn't heard it?
I don't.
Okay, that's more than 2 people, so we'll do it. Are we doing that?
Yeah. Right.
I don't need a mic.
Leah James. Anyway, I want to hear you.
You'll do it like right now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Can I stand up?
Sure.
Dear Black Man, I am not staring at you because I think you are going to rob me. I promise, I will not hold my purse tighter when you are around, nor lock my car doors just because you walk by. I cannot stop staring at you because your beauty is breathtaking. It reminds me of safety, of protector, of strength. Your melanin holds manuscripts of those who created dynasties birthed by queens who first populated this planet. Your melanin is magic. This is no Mandingo memoir, nor some type of sick fetish. You are no object, nor oversexed male. You are lover, friend. You are no thug. Let this serve as a reminder that your life matters more than just to people who look like you. I speak for the people who look like me, who may actually just be afraid to say it, that without you, there is no America, no so-called land of the free, where your equality is said to be subpar to even me. There is no revolution, no passion, no art or music. There is no renaissance, no birth, no breath, no life, no me, no spoken word. You are the creator of good things. God's image is etched into your very being. Black man, you are no boy. The pavement was never meant to be your grave. Blood-splattered shirts were never meant to be your attire. Your skin was never meant to be a target. Your smile was never supposed to fade. Your wings were never meant to be caged behind bars in a country that you helped build, symbolized by an eagle. Despite the hypocrisy, you forgive. Black man, it is okay to cry. I will cry with you. We will cry with you. Solidarity was never meant for the cold-hearted anyway. Let's leave the hate for the media and the lies that they spray. They spit on your character as though it were dirt in an attempt at making the blind see. They are no savior. They are serpents, poisoning society, lacing eyes shut to oppression, manipulating minds to make them think that the selling of young black men to the prison system is just a figment of our imagination. Black man, you are no slave, no convict, no criminal. You are brave. You are bold enough to face another day in a country that teaches that your face should be feared. Black man, I thank you for living, for being. Forgive the stares of strangers. They may be out of fear, as in reverence, as in respect, as in awe of such a precious life. Black man, you matter. Black life matters. Thank you.
I don't know if the ladies had. I know you have to go. Does anybody want to hear?
Yes.
Yes. Let's get you set up, and you can talk about the song before you. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Ajanee Hambrick. Yes.
This song is a cover of Mali Music and Jacob Banks. I'll talk about that part, but it's a mashup of Titanium, Jacob Banks, and Mali Music's Ready Aim Fire. So. Shout it out, but I can't hear a word you say. You're talking loud, not saying much. Yeah. I'm criticized by all your bullets.
guess I had to come here. I know where I'm from, but now I'm headed where I'm going right. Yeah. And there are powers in the air, you can see them. And they have rockets and machine guns, and they're firing on my brain. But I say fire, fire, burning fire. You can shoot me down. Listen, trying to make a drink is sideways. He's trying to take water to a dry place. He's trying to take hope and none. Trying to take it all to a high place. So you can shoot them down. So you can fall from down. What are we doing? What again? Maybe not makes you so again. But all of his baby, yeah. And I don't think the powers really want that. Breathing on my neck, always on my back, got the guns out, but I say fire.
Give it for Ajanee Hambrick. Thank you for that.
No, you can. And last but not least, to close out the set, remember, follow Angie at Angie Rose Music. Let's see.
That was crazy.
On Instagram, and I believe that's her website as well. Yeah, everything with a K, music with a K. And she's got a project called Sipping Coffee in the Bakery. By the way, what's up with the sipping coffee thing? That's been your thing forever, right?
You gotta sip that coffee.
You gotta sip that coffee. You gotta get that wake up, that jump. Ladies and gentlemen, she's gonna perform a song for y'all tonight, this afternoon. Last but not least, give it up for Angie Rose.
Alright, so I ain't bring no track, so we just gonna rock out. We gonna touch a classic real quick. Let me see. I don't even know what verse I'm gonna spit, so we gotta figure it out as we go.
That's what we doing? Oh man.
Okay, I'm rolling high, you be thrown in fires. So I'm sipping living water and I'm putting out their fires. Whether they retire, you simply get it together. Ain't a thesis, this ain't nice and Jesus. Only follow Jesus, it's real tough. But people like to say that it's not. See, I follow me, I am between I am what I'm not. Paradox, but these ain't the type that's so in stores. I got the pencils and the sword, so it's right indoors. And most of they ain't want me here, but now I'm sipping coffee, sharing stories with the bosses, pouring up his glory. Got a problem with mediocrity and people who throw stones and then front
back, of course. Me and Angie about to get into this back and forth. We got the Nikes on. Best believe we gon' do it. Take it to the summit, make other rappers straight plummet.
Gonna do it. You know I've been influenced by this music, so I take it and I use it. Gotta chew it like a candy bar. Johnson chew. Show you how I do it. Can you take it? Spit true stuff.
Spit truth. I don't tell lies. Best believe I'm fly. I am one heck of a guy. 6'4" in height. When I run right nice. Best believe I'm crippled style. And you should have think twice.
My guy fly cause he's tall, but let me look up. My guy fly cause he's all I am. Greatest ever say I am. So let me show you how I do it when I take that pen.
Take that pen. Best believe I'm titanium like Angie. Best believe I'm crip crazy style classic beat. Every time I flip it though. Best believe we grip the flow. I see you doing it on the mistletoe. Oh there's, you're passing it to Leah. She about to do the video. Can you see her? Brother like myself, combining with the sister. Grip crazy style. Best believe we leave blisters.
Leave blisters. I don't even know what that word means. So let me show you how I flip it in the scene. It's a freestyle, but the smile still mean. Cause the freestyle ain't really all free.
Really all free. Best believe in chasing dreams like new vision. When I grip styles, best believe it's lyricism. Now we bring it forward. Best believe we just take it beat. I see you sipping in the bakery.
Bakery, I gotta get the donut. Just so I can show them how I do it. Cause I'm Mola. I guess that's what we was fighting. Now I see the room and it's dark. Let me light it.
Let me light it up like Sandra, coming out the bathroom. Yeah, I saw you, coming out the bathroom. That's cool, coming down. Best believe it, I come to achieve it. Best believe I'm sure to weave it. When he battle rhymes on his stage, I'm ripping in the range. I'm just on the front page, like a newspaper. See my views later, but I ain't Drake, make no mistake. What?
He said, you see the views later. Let me show you how to YouTube like this new paper. Like rolling up the papers on the block when I used to smoke Phillies and I did it non-stop. If the beat cut off, I guarantee I still stuck. And I get the brake pedal, drop it, let them know I'm ready.
Give us more. Hey. How about this? One last time. Yo, check it out. When I say Angie, y'all say Rose. Angie. When I say Angie, y'all say Rose. Angie.
Legends never die, my music is my hieroglyphic. I'll tell them how I survive in a world that tried to kill me. Yeah, they tried to make me, still I rose up from the ashes and show them still the same. It's the year of the dreamers, get the banners and the streamers. I'ma go out to the goddess and turn them into believers. Yeah, I ain't never seen a path that I couldn't pave. Cause I never seen a demon that I couldn't face. David to Goliath, Daniel to the lion. We the truth to the liars, we like water to the fire. Cause we put out what they putting on. Cause what they putting on, faking in the chain and the rain. That's a green you couldn't pawn. They say they alive, that don't mean they living. God's sight, half of us is still in need of vision. So I hold my lines and glasses to the nations. Hold up, tell you the truth, I got faith in my generation. Wow. Woo!
Give it up for Angie Rose, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another edition of the Next Conversation series. I want to thank Ajanee Hambrick, who just laughed. I want to thank Leah James. I want to thank Angie. Yo, wait, stop music. Cut the music. Can we say happy birthday to my mellow, my man, the guy who always comes through for me in situations like this? He just celebrated his 40th birthday.
Hey.
So I really, y'all can give it up for that. Right? So, I need y'all to sing happy birthday Migs on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Nice and sweet.
Happy birthday to you.
Harmony.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear
Happy birthday, DJ MIGS.
Come on, man. I just love Jesus. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just want to appreciate for everybody
say happy birthday, but I don't feel like I'm 40 because a lot of people were shocked and they looked at me like, you ain't 40, you still 25. And in my school, my IR, they told me, yo, how you not age? It's very simple. I don't heavily smoke, I don't heavily drink.
Clean living.
And yeah, I don't know how I made it, but I'm grateful for it. But you know, as time goes by, you know, like I always gonna believe that I'm gonna stay young, and always will be, you know, because I know God has for me for a purpose, you know, and I know I lost a lot of people who passed away, but not lived to see me where I'm at now.
Yes.
But I'm very grateful for the Most High that everything was at the right timing and the right moment, and He guaranteed me that I'm going to stay alive until when He's ready to call me home. So I appreciate every one of y'all, man. Thank you so much for. And I'm sorry, I'm trying not to get emotional about this. But,
It's your birthday, man.
I never had any birthday celebrations like over the past 9 years, and it's funny, you know, but like I said, you know, it is what it is. You know, I just counted my blessings, and I'm still here, and I'm still growing. Amen. Thank you so much.
Give it for DJ MIGS. And with that said, thank you all for coming out. Please follow me at Radical on Fire on Instagram so you'll know what's coming up next. I'm not sure who I'll be interviewing next. I know who I want to, but I don't know if it's going to happen. So just keep it locked, man. Again, shout out to everybody. Please support Leah. Leah on Instagram. Leah is spelled, in her case, it's Leah James. Follow her on Instagram. Saying Angie Rose. ANGIEROSEMUSIK on Instagram.
From the Bronx.
Ajanee. Who? Oh yes, and also please sign the sheets if you're not signed the sheets yet. This is your first time. Thank you all for coming out. Let's hang out a bit and then we got to clear out. Oh, very important. Shout out to the Bronx MC for videotaping this whole situation. This will be on YouTube soon. We got footage this time. I worked on that. Respect the shooter. Yeah. Sipping coffee in the bakery on 428, man. Go support that, man.
I buy some
Support that.
coffee.
You know what I mean? Support
Like
that.
5 drinks of coffee.
Bright Lights Acoustic is now on Spotify, iTunes, and wherever you get music. Go support that.
Yeah.